Advisor Advantage. Your monthly podcast to cut through the noise and unpack real advisory. Deep dive into what's actually working for accountants to move beyond the traditional and into true strategic impact. No fluff, no jargon, just practical, actionable strategies you can use right now.
Hello and welcome back to the Accountants Daily podcast network. We are back today with episode 2 of the Advisory Advantage podcast. We have a name for it. My name is Imogen Wilson and I'm here with my co-host Brent Szalay from Leaders in Business. Brent, welcome back. How are you?
Excellent. Thank you, Imogen. We have a name.
We have a name.
How good's that?
We are in business with Leaders in Business, doing our Advisory Advantage podcast. So obviously, episode 2, last time we spoke about what the is strategic advisory.
Yes, we did. It was great. I think we had a great start. So we can only just build from there.
Yeah, absolutely. And so anyway, before we dive into our second episode today, how are you? What's been going on this week? What's been going on?
Lots, really. I mean, the industry's full of stuff. I saw you last week. You ventured down to my part of town in Melbourne.
Melbourne, I know. And it was terrible weather, of course.
And it's reversed now.
Today we're in Sydney and the rain is bucketing down.
It's lovely in Melbourne this morning. Absolutely beautiful. Blue skies.
I don't believe it. Every time I've been to Melbourne, it is absolutely awful.
Yeah, well, it's actually dark, so I'm not sure if it was blue skies. But it was a good conference. The Access conference was great.
Yes.
The SB is an absolute legend of a place. And to have a venue, I think the Access group have done a great job. I loved it. I really did. I thought the speakers were awesome. What did you think?
I loved it. So that was the second year I've been to Access All Areas. Last year I loved it. I left the event being buzzing. That was the best accounting expo I've ever been to. I loved it. So many great speakers. The lunch. I said to David as well on the day, I said, the lunch. I love it.
Love it.
You're doing God's work there.
I missed the lunch. I had to go and do a webinar, but I came straight back and guess what I did? I didn't get home till after 12. So I really enjoyed the All Access function.
Yeah.
But who was your favourite speaker? Who did you go and speak to? Who did you hear?
Yeah.
I saw you writing notes and all those sorts of things.
Yes.
So you were there working, were you?
I was. So I was on the ground. I was reporting. So I was a little skulking journalist in the corner with my dictaphone and making notes and whatnot. I think I was the only journalist there actually. And I saw a lot of people speak. I saw, quite a few advisory ones because obviously I'm quite interested in that topic at the moment, which is why we've got you on talking about it. It's so important. I saw our good friend Amy Fox talk about behavioural finance, which was really, really interesting. And I also saw a couple on, building from burnout, brilliance to burnout. That was fantastic. And then at the end, I also saw one, taking your clients from the basement to the penthouse with, of course, David Boyer, Jarvis Archer, and Amy Fox again.
David and Tim Munro from Change GPS, they're weapons.
Weapons.
Tim helped me start my business. He was so helpful. I'm inspired by him about how he helps the industry and how he helps accountants. So I love what they're doing, and I love what they gave us. My favourite was Andrew Vanderbeek, the disconnect with advisory.
Yes. Tell me about that because I didn't get to see that.
He's just so good. He's just so forthright. He was having a beer, standing there, and just talking to an audience at the SB. I'm like, this is the best setting I've ever seen. And he was just talking about a really important point about how we, as the leaders of a business, go and win some work from the client, promise them that we can do it, and then we go back to our team, the advisory work, so the non-structured advisory work, and go back to our team and go, all right, we've got some work from our client, here it is. And it's like, I don't know how to do that. What do you mean? We haven't got that structure before. We haven't done that before. And it was quite real about that because we've all been in that moment from a team perspective and, telling the clients, we go back and deliver it, but it's a bit of hard work. So I really liked the honesty in that and the way he delivered it. So it was really good.
I think it's also great as well that there are so many people in the room who are passionate about the same things but have such different experiences. So, you'd be coming from advisory in a different experience setting and being able to bounce off him and ideas and what he's saying and really, connect on that level, which I think is the whole point of the event, which is amazing.
It is. I think they did a good job at having a good balance there. They had talks. Shannon Smith talked about robotics and automation.
Shannon, she's so amazing.
She is. She's doing amazing things. So I think there was a great balance. Joanna Perry, she talked about Gen Z, is it? Gen Z?
Yeah, Gen Z.
Yeah, Gen Z. I got it confused on the day.
It's me.
Gen Z, yeah. But it was interesting, her perspective about this is
Yeah.
how you train us. This is how we need to do the reps, she said. You've got to do the reps, train us. And I learned a lot from that. So
Yeah.
again, great perspectives, great speakers, great environment, hats off. And I learned a bit about the Access Group. I think they're doing some good things. I didn't realise, I was new to what they're doing, but integrating a whole lot of solutions for the industry. Great stuff. I mean, that's what it's doing. There's so many options now for tech that we don't even know how to use them all or access them all, but bringing them into a central point, I think makes sense. So I learned a little bit about that too.
Yeah, amazing. The Access Group is doing a lot of work and doing it with a fantastic event too every year. So looking forward to next year. David, we're going to be there.
There were some whispers. I won't say where, but I went and asked David. He goes, "Gee, you already know."
Yeah.
But, it seems like it's going ahead again and probably bigger and better. And I'm excited, hopefully, to be part of it.
Yeah, absolutely. So obviously episode 2,
Yes.
Advisory Advantage, here we are. So last episode we unpacked what strategic advisory really is, which does seem to be the $1 million question among everyone. And you said that a lot of accountants probably already think that they're already doing advisory, but when you look closer, it's often not landing. Tell us why.
Yeah, look, I think that it's just the definition of advisory. It really is about the type of advisory. We're all being asked of things for advice and we give it. So we're doing advisory. It's just that structured approach about how we can proactively make an impact. And that's what we're trying to do, make that impact strategically, proactively, by design. And that's about affecting the client's future and their goals and not looking backwards. And I'll talk through some of the things today that I'd like to be able to share, because some of the things we've learned, we've now trained, or we're right in the middle of training a group now, but that'll be finished tomorrow evening, and that'll be 110 accountants we've trained in the last sort of 15 months.
Amazing.
So we've learned so much. We've learned so much about what's happening with them, what's working well with them, and how they go back to their world and start to try to apply this. And it's challenging. Okay, I can tell you now, no one goes back and just sits there and starts nailing it. This is something that's built over time. Okay, and so what I wanted to share was all the things that we've learned during that period about what people are struggling with, the traps. And I've identified about 12 traps about what people are struggling with to be able to go back and implement advisory into their business. So I wanted to share that with the audience today.
Sounds really good. And I think it's really important to flag as well with, your experience in training these accountants and now having trained 110 accountants. This is a classic example of you telling us not what you think, but telling us what you know. So this is coming from experience. You're in the trenches with them, you're hearing their problems, and you've identified these trends that are obviously happening there. And so you said 12 traps. Are there any, overarching big themes within those 12 traps?
Yeah, there is. We've sort of broken them down into 3 areas just to simplify them a little bit. So the first one's around mindset, just getting the head and the frame right, which is challenging. So from an industry that's been bashed in compliance over the years and still is, how do we reframe that if we are interested in doing some advisory work? How do we reset ourselves? There's a lot in that. Second one's structure. Structure. It's all structure. In fact, I have interviewed and surveyed accountants, and it's a high percentage. 68% of our survey of 50 accountants in this particular CPA forum was looking for structure. And I think that's the major reason people are looking to do advisory training and have an advisory process, because we lack the structure. So there's a lot in the structure component. And the final one's about culture.
A big one.
A big one.
An important one.
Yeah. If you're an individual out there, you are the culture. But your team, it's not more than just that. It's the type of people you want to attract to you. How are you having conversations with your clients, but how are you bringing people into your world? Like, how do you attracting people to want to work with you? Are you able to, if you have a culture of wanting to help clients with their business and helping them in that future focus and their goal setting, that's inspiring. I think that's where some people want to be. So there's a bit about culture there. So we've broken them down. And looking forward to sharing them with you.
So let's dive in. So obviously the first one that you just mentioned is mindset. So let's start with mindset. Where do accountants get in their own way before advisory even begins?
Yeah, I mean, as I just mentioned in the intro, the compliance is just so there. It's so much work to do, and it's really hard to get on top of that. You only have to look in your email. You only have to hear a new change of law. There's new work coming from everywhere all the time, our clients and from the industry. So if you have a passion for advisory and you really want to do it, which is who we work with, to get to what you want to do is so difficult. So changing the mindset and saying, well, how do I make space for both of these so they can both coexist? I need to be able to make some space. When I do get slammed with the compliance work, that's fine. But have I made space for the advisory work? So getting out of a comfort zone is a really important thing. The first one I'll mention, and I'm using this as a challenge for my advisors at SEVA as well. I'm talking to them about saying, look, the advisory stuff's there. The compliance stuff's there, but let's segment some time in your week to initiate and have some time to work on a proactive basis. So just breaking that mold.
I can imagine that would feel really challenging for some people as well, because obviously compliance is so heavy at the moment and so many people are really bogged down with it and are in a negative headspace that they probably can't even see the light at the end of the tunnel. So when you say, let's make some time for the advisory work, they're probably going, I can't.
Yeah. It ebbs and flows. It goes in stages. There's times like, especially from April to June, there's just, you can't talk to anyone. It's almost like I switch off for that month.
The do not disturb sign goes up.
I should go on holidays at that point, but I'm not.
The middle finger to anyone that approaches your desk.
Pretty much. It's just challenging. It really is. But there is times, now's the time to shine, right? Because you can get the work done before then, but you need to make the space. You've got to change the way the brain thinks. It's like, okay, I love advisory. That's what they're telling us. So let's make space for it and put some structure behind it so you can do it. Not get to the end of another year saying, look, I've missed out on another year of doing this work that I really love doing.
So what's next from there? So you obviously identify that you need to have this structure and you need to go, compliance here, advisory here. Yep. What's next?
Make time. So the second one is around what we call reporting versus strategy. So I look at this as, and I learned this even at the Access Group, hearing people talk about advisory, it's still attached to financials. Okay, and it's understandable where they're coming from the accounting industry. But the financials that we look at are an outcome. Okay, that's an effect. And what I'm trying to help with strategic advisory is the cause. What are the drivers? What are the levers that cause these results of the numbers? And if we can have an influence on those drivers, then we can have an effect on the business. So getting those things in line is something we're trying to repurpose people's thoughts. There's plenty of people doing the CFOs fantastically out there. They're really valuable. And I said to one guy, Dimitri, he had a great chat, and I said, putting a design piece, a strategic design piece before you do the CFO work just makes it absolutely a beautiful engagement. And a design piece is going through that process of understanding clients' goals, diagnosing their business, creating that agenda of strategic action for the next 12 months, and then going to town on the numbers. It's a beautiful engagement. So it's just getting those drivers understood first, and that's the imprint we're trying to make here.
Yeah, and really changing that mindset from the numbers to the cause.
So I challenge to say advisory without numbers. That's a challenge. Can you give business advice without looking at numbers? And that's a good challenge for people to think about.
I think also a factor of the advisory space that I keep hearing with people being like, what even is advisory? Or, we're already doing advisory. And then we've got people, experts like yourself coming in going, no, you're not. You're actually not doing advisory. But it's because I would say accountants are really across wanting to have the right advice and wanting to have the answer because they're attached to the numbers. And they always say the answer's in the numbers. It's right there. But that's not always the case, is it?
That's right. As the expert, and what you notice is the role of an accountant and a technical expert is that you are giving advice. You're giving back a result. You're giving technical expert your opinion on things. So you have the answers. Okay, you have the answers, and people are coming to you for the answers. So another trap that we fall into is what we're calling the answer trap, is that we have the answers, but your role as an advisor changes.
Yeah.
Okay, we've got to have the questions. And I say in my training and all our programs, we are just the guide. The client is the hero. They have the answers. We've got the questions. If we ask,
everyone starts freaking out, running out of the room.
Sort of. And you know what? We naturally have questions. So we've got our natural instincts are the right questions. And I do this in our training programs. we facilitate a strategy session where we do a group questions, and the clients, the accountants ask great questions. It's about having them structured in a way so you don't have to come up with them instinctively, and that's the key point here. So, knowing your role as the advisor is to facilitate and ask the right questions, and do not solve. No solving, no answering, just capturing. And that's a really foreign place for accountants to be. So that's a real shift in mindset for sure.
Everyone starts, hyperventilating, breathing into paper bags. What do you mean?
Absolutely, because they're struggling to even just yesterday, we had a session yesterday with a group and just disassociating the fact that we don't have to solve or say the answer. They've got the answers. We're just capturing their thoughts, capturing their dreams, and then playing it back to them in a way that's valuable.
Absolutely.
We'll break that down later.
Absolutely. And so I can imagine with the mindset comes a little bit of ego. Sorry, accountants out there, but everyone is quite, capable and they're really, really confident in their ability. Is there anything coming up there with, maybe an egotistical block or a confidence thing there?
Definitely, because we're going into a grey area.
Yeah.
Okay, we're used to certainty and a lot of black and white. And this is why advisory specifically isn't for everybody. Okay, because some people really just like the black and whiteness of what
which is a really
accounting
important point
so
to make.
important.
And we've heard it recently.
Yeah. Critical.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's not for everyone, and we know that. And that's worth noting. But there's certainly, we're working in a grey area, and their certainty isn't there. So being able to lean into that can be challenging. So the confidence around having the structure, compliance brings structure because we have a process, and without structure in advisory, it can feel a little bit like, where are we going here? I'm not sure where it's leading to, so I feel uncomfortable. And that lack of structure can lead to confidence diminishing. So leaning into that is what we're trying to help people understand and give them confidence that this is part of the process. Okay, that the unknowns are there, and we're going to explore the unknown. So it can be new territory for some people. But that's part of the challenge.
Trust the process.
Trust the process.
Absolutely. So obviously, if mindset is setting the tone for that and building it up, with the right mindset, I'm sure firms would still kind of get a little bit stuck though. They think, we're super confident now. We're really excited. We can do this. But then maybe they don't have the right systems or processes, or like you say, our favorite word, structure.
Yeah,
right?
I've been saying a lot, but the structure is the second. I think the second category we're playing in here is what is structure. I mean, they say they need it, they say they want it, but and we do. What does it actually mean? So,
and what does it look like?
Yeah, what is that? So as I said before, like I ask the group when they come in, I say, what are you here for? And it's usually structure, and for me, I think that means that we're looking to have consistency in what we're doing. We're looking to be able to deliver it in a way that others can follow it. And take the pressure off being instinctive, which I'll mention again is as one of these key points. But definitely structure, and it's the number one reason people are coming to do this work.
So if you're talking about traps within structure, what's the first one? What are people where are they going wrong? Tell us.
This is the ultimate. It's about the key person being the problem here, the partner. Themselves.
Where's the partner?
Yeah, the partner's...
The goddamn partner. What are you doing?
Because at the end of the day, we're trying to set up a business.
Yeah.
And a business means you should, the leader should be trying to lead the business and get their team, if they've got a small team, to delegate down and do those other things. But because the advisory can require some perception, it needs the most experienced person to do it. And in the past, there's no structure to it. Therefore, they're the only ones that can really deliver it. Okay, and therefore they're increasing their load to be able to deliver advisory only increases another task they've got to do. So there's dependence on them. And it depends on their instincts and their brilliance to be able to say, give responses and answers to the client. And that's been a challenge in the past. But taking that away and being able to say, okay, this is a structured process that my team can do as well, that's certainly something that we could move away from, having the key person being the only person that can be in a strategic engagement with their clients.
Well, it probably, links back to the whole compliance part of it too, is that with this partner, they're probably so busy, so bogged down. They've got a whole team relying on them. They're just a bit under-resourced. They don't know what to do, and they're just feeling – and then they go into burnout, and that's what we don't want to have.
Definitely, which leads to another problem that we have existing is I'm definitely noticing that the firms that we're working with are under-resourced back at their office, and they're finding themselves getting back into the work they've got their hands dirty. They're doing the compliance work or reviewing the compliance work because they don't have other people to be able to do it.
Yeah, so is it
struggling to find people?
Is it just a staff thing?
Yeah.
Yeah, okay.
Partially, right?
Partially.
Finding people to do that.
Yeah.
And having the structure within their own business themselves. You know, we have people, one of the things we do is people say, I'm really keen to do advisory, but I'm not quite ready. We run strategy sessions with these accounting firms for their own business. And that's the thing we're teaching them to run with their clients. But you've got to get your own backyard in order a little bit too. And it just requires a couple of key moves of being able to get some structure behind you so then it can free you up to do the things that you love doing. Under-resourced, I find that's a challenge across the whole industry, right? Where are people gone? They've disappeared. We need to find them.
It does seem to be something we talk about a lot, isn't it? Is, where are these people that we need? We need them. And I really love that term you just said, you need to look at your own back garden.
Yeah,
that's hilarious.
It's a reflection.
Yeah. Something people probably don't want to hear either.
I think we'll dig into this in one of our episodes because it's a big one, is that people feel guilty that they have to have their own backyard sorted and before they give advice. And maybe to be really effective, that's true because you need to practice what you preach. But we're just saying in our engagements is that to be strategic in your approach to your clients is what we're saying, and we should be doing that all the time. Okay, so they're not the same. Okay, so of course the things that we're applying to the end user, which is the business, we should be applying to ourselves because the accountants are business owners as well. Right, it's another small form of small business that need to get some help. Okay, and that's what ultimately who we're trying to help is those leaders, empower those leaders in the business.
Absolutely. And so if we then, talk about data and talk about the structure there, what's going on in that area? What have you noticed?
Yeah, lots. Like it's the collection of information. Like I was talking to one of the partners yesterday who was part of an in-house group we're training, and he said back in the day, and even when I say back in the day, even recently, he would...
Back in the day last week feels like 7 years ago.
Yeah, like it feels like back in the day yesterday. What they were doing, he said, I would sit there and to collect the information I needed to run a strategy session with a client, I would sit there and just ask questions throughout the engagement. And literally, you go through a whole day of asking questions and learning about the business. You haven't done anything. And that's, that's, although it's valuable, it's time, and someone's going to pay for that time. So therefore, that's one of the prohibiting, is that the right word? Prohibiting people from being able to spend that money. Whereas if we can collect data really succinctly and easily and get insights as within seconds, you've got insights to be able to go to your clients before and do the pre-work, and you're informed. Okay, you're informed about how the business is going, what the goals are, and you're now ready and set up to ask the right questions at the right time and get the information you need really effective and efficiently, which means you can produce an awesome session and product for the client, which isn't really expensive. It's really valuable. That sets up the whole engagement instead of exploring and trying to discover, which can take you down many, many rabbit holes, is what I say a lot. Take you down many rabbit holes.
And then I guess it saves you time, which is what everyone is talking about anyways, that we don't have time. But if you're doing something like that.
We run 4 hours, 1 hour prep, 2 hour strategy session, 1 hour post, and that's
get
valuable.
in, get out, be a legend.
That's the strategic process, and that's all you need to do because you've got the data.
Yeah.
Without the data, it'd take you weeks. So it used to take me a long time to try to find this information out. So the capture of data efficiently makes it very effective.
Definitely. And I think that really links well to something a lot of people were talking about at Access All Areas, and that is the value and, packaging your advisory correctly. And I'd be interested to hear what you have to say on this, because a lot of people at that event were saying, you're worth more, your time's worth more, your advice is worth more. Treat yourself like it, and your client will respect you for that. So what's your take on that?
Huge area about advice and value pricing and what it is, detaching from the hourly rate. Okay, so there's a whole section here is that, knowledge is built over generations and years of time. Some people have been in this game for 40 years. Imagine how much they know. And to give a response back in 1 second is years of experience. And to charge by the hour would be crazy. So why would you do it? We should be charging.
Crazy.
It would be because you want to charge by value. And if we can identify what our value is, okay, then we can actually, and what the value is to the client, we can repackage the way we deliver it, okay? So what we see a lot is the client calls up for something, I might have mentioned it last time as well, is that we give that advice away for free. But if we can slow down and have a process to be able to give them a process to be able to deliver value and understand things in a deeper way, you can package that up and sell that at a more valuable rate that's valuable for both, because you're delivering something with more substance, okay, and you're making it's a more thorough job for yourself. So value pricing and not attaching to hourly rate is something which I see across the board.
What would you say to accounting firms that you work with would be the best approach to that?
Yeah, it's interesting. You need to go through a process to be able to work out what your value is.
Yeah.
Okay. So again, I can only use an example. I can use an example from yesterday. We're talking about what is the value in delivering what we're doing. I'm like, because we're used to giving the answers. That's valuable. So that's clear. So if we've got answers to the questions that the clients have, we can give you that's a value. But if our value is to ask questions, and what is that value? And people really struggle with that. But I say to them, we've got to understand what it is. If we can help people understand their direction, where they're heading, and why they're heading there, that's valuable. Okay? If we can help people understand clarity in what they need to do and not do, so therefore they're not feeling like they're not getting to a million things because they've now only got one thing to do for this month, that's valuable. And then giving people support. You know, you're doing a good job. Hang in there. You're human. You're going to drop some balls. It's okay.
That would be a big one for a lot of people.
And I'm here for you. Okay, it's okay. I'm not here to crack you over the knuckles. I'm here to support you because I know it didn't work this week, this month, but let's work out why and let's go again.
Yeah,
that's value. All right. So if you can package that into a beautiful proposal. And
with a big red bow.
With a big red bow.
Sparkly.
It is, but it is a bit like that. It's about how you can communicate in a way that people understand it as not just an email or an invoice. They're like, that's valuable. I'm willing to pay for that and I want to go on that journey with you.
Yeah. And then it just kind of is a little bit of a catch-22 and then, you know, they get value so then you feel valued and then it just becomes this big, glowy, beautiful thing.
It is. It is because you feel good about, as you just pointed out, you do feel good about something that's put some pre-work into, then you'll go at it with confidence and you'll price it accordingly. And the opposite to that is if you're feeling like it's reactive, you're feeling like you're just throwing off some words and some advice quickly, you're not going to value that, so therefore you're not going to be pricing that accordingly.
If we double down on something that you said a lot last week, it was a really, really good point. And you said, you know, firms that are successful at this are proactive and not reactive. What would happen if, you know, firms are reactive, not proactive?
Yeah, and we've all got a reactive element to us, and that's fine. The reactive is that the client seeks us for help, and that's reactive, and that's a good reactive. I think the learning out of that is to be accessible.
I would be the worst accountant, guys. I'm sorry. I'd be so reactive.
Reactive's okay. Like what happens is that our client, you know, everyone's got a client list and it's long. And out of all of those clients, they've all got a problem that's happened over the weekend. They've all been to that barbecue. You been to that barbecue?
I love the barbecue.
I spoke to that. You know, I heard that I can do this. I heard I can, you know, claim this. I can claim that or do this. And,
I'm feeling inspired after that barbecue.
That barbecue, everyone goes to them. I'd love to go there actually because everyone seems to be invited except for us accountants.
We should have a barbecue.
We should have a barbecue. But it's exactly that. So we're heading. We get these phone calls and we give away advice or we get some new work and that's reactive, but we need to do that. That's the trust that we have. So we want to continue to do that and be accessible. That's probably the new point here, being accessible for those things and not being swamped so you can't make them, you can't respond in a timely manner. So that's part of, that is actually, I'd put that in the proactive category that you are making space for these actions.
Yeah.
But the other part is initiating. Okay, and this is something that I've only just recently started working with our advisors at Siva with and talking to them about. Let's talk about these initiation acts. Okay, what can we do to start the conversation? Okay, and that can be as light as reaching out and saying, I'd love to come and have a cup of coffee with you. That's one easy, simple one. Or I'd love to come and see your office and show me around your place. So something that's just light, it's not wanting anything.
Office tour,
workshop tour, factory tour. It's so amazing when you can see
Yeah.
The insides of a client's world. So doing those things. Or it could be linked a little bit more strategic if you're further along the line with a tool like a goals questionnaire or a business assessment. These things are initiating and going to the client with something as opposed to them coming to you with a problem. And those little actions start to lead into what you can then lead them into, and you can discover problems into a more structured strategy session, which is what we're trying to encourage.
I can imagine then that flows really well into your third, theme that you're seeing, which is culture.
Culture.
Culture. We all love to talk about. In every, I would say, white collar job, culture is huge. I know even in the journalism industry, culture is massive.
Yeah.
Something no one can really get a good hold on all the time. It's really different compared to all firms, all businesses. So what are you guys seeing across all of these accounting firms you're working with? What's the culture?
Culture's led by leaders, leadership. Yeah. Leadership has to set culture and has to understand and define values. And what you value is what you talk about and embed into your activities and how you behave as a team. Now, a traditional culture in accounting, and I was just speaking to a firm in Perth the other week and talking about some of this work we're doing, this strategic work, and they're saying, our team's just so far away from that. We're smashing compliance all day, every day, and our work is to get it done right, do it quality, and turn it around as best you can with the quality there. And that's what people's mindsets are.
Yeah.
But for us to start talking about the client and the client's goals and their future, that's a whole reframe. And to be able to get us all thinking that way, we need a bit of a reset. So that was the acknowledgement, and I agreed. What we do is really cool. We've been helping teams, doing some team workshops and getting teams involved with not just the accountants or the advisors, but the whole team involved with some of our advisor work. And that's about resetting the culture and resetting the foundation about business. And we do this thing, which I love. It's probably my favourite thing to do. It's called pitch tank, right? And pitch tank is when you get the whole team.
I'm scared.
Or we've all seen Shark Tank, right?
Absolutely.
Shark Tank, you come and so the work that goes into Shark Tank before that work is all of this learning about a business. So just this 2 weeks ago, we had a team in Pitch Tank, 6 mock businesses set up by, there's 3 in a team, so 18 people say, and they set up a mock business from scratch and they learn our framework, our strategic framework, and they set up a mock business from start to finish. We educate them, and then they apply that to their business plan. And by the end of it, they pitch their own strategic plan to the group. And that's everyone. So everyone in the group is now understanding that I understand all the elements of business. I understand the importance of setting goals and setting vision. I understand the point of communicating business, and the whole team can jump on board. So
cool.
That's a cool example.
Yeah, that's a fun exercise.
We get this big check and we give away a check. Gave away a check. I signed a check for 2. Do you know what a check is?
Yes.
Tell me what a check is.
Guys, I don't know what a check is.
Have you seen one?
Yeah.
I remember one of our team a few years ago. They go, I haven't seen a check ever.
Yeah.
The big ones. I signed a big check for $20 million.
What? Hold it up and then walk around?
20% equity in this
business.
And it was so much fun. So anyway.
I want a check.
That's it. I did too. I put it in the back of my car when I took it home with me. I felt like Happy Gilmore.
Yeah.
We should be watch Happy Gilmore.
Yeah.
But, hilarious.
Yeah.
Collecting checks at the golf tournaments. Changing the culture and the way we think is across the board. It's not just for the advisors. It's just for the accountants. It's everyone. So it's about how do we change our approach, and then the culture is the most important thing. And the first point is really around what I might have mentioned before, is around changing the way we think about purpose. Okay, the purpose of us, our purpose at Seva was always to make meaningful impact. Okay, that's our purpose. So are we making meaningful impact? That's what we judge our internal behaviour around.
Yeah.
Versus production. Are we hitting numbers? Are we getting jobs done? Are we, all those sorts of things? And of course, you need a little bit of that to be effective, but it's always about impact. So are we thinking about the client? Are we thinking about their goals? Are we thinking about that how we can make their lives better or easier? And that requires leadership and clarity in what your messaging is and your values. And if you can get that right, that's a great way to start this next journey of being client-centric.
Do you measure that meaningful impact off what the client is telling you that you're providing them going, oh, this is great, I feel so much better? Or is it something that you feel internally as a business going, I think we've made a difference to that client?
It's a really good question. There's two ways. We obviously, the ultimate effect is the client being able to give us feedback. So we value those at our team meetings. We measure those acts and we celebrate them. So we call them Seaver believers.
Ah, that's cute.
Yeah, and we whoever writes a positive comment, we share them as a team because we reinforce that great behaviour.
I want to work at Seaver.
Yeah, it's
Do you need a journalist?
Everyone needs a journalist.
Who the hell needs a journalist these days?
We need a spare journalist. We all need a journalist. But it is great. So we get that feedback from the client, but then we also internally believe what is making life easier for them. So taking away stress. Okay, so making a process easier for them and say, hey, we'll cover this for you. We'll get this work done for you. You just need to send us a couple of things. It's also about, building out the things that matter most. So we know that we look at 3 areas of defining meaningful impact: purpose, profit, and personal well-being are the 3 things that we try to impact that will help take the load off or increase and make a meaningful impact to their lives. So super important, and that's a culture thing. And we encourage all of our people in the industry to connect to their purpose and lead with their purpose, and that trumps productivity.
Absolutely.
And I'll asterisk that for all my favourite accounts out there. Productivity makes the world go round. We still need to be productive, but I can tell you now, if we're talking with purpose, people will be more productive as a result of it.
Because they're inspired.
They're inspired. They'll work the hours. They'll do what they need to do. And they'll just do the work for the client because they know they're making a difference as opposed to they're doing a job.
Now, with this, even I'm sitting here and I'm feeling inspired because purpose is something that, drives a lot of us. But maybe for a lot of accountants, they're numbers people. They might not feel inspired in that way because, they're human skills. They don't like, talking one-on-one with somebody, or they feel uncomfortable talking about purpose when you're not talking about numbers as such. Is there a bit of a gap in the human skills within this space? Is there anything that needs to be kind of worked on or addressed?
Okay, so the human skills that are certainly one of the biggest things we're seeing is a gap in the industry. We're seeing the good old-fashioned going to talk to people and building rapport is lost. We sit behind computers, we sit behind texting of phones.
Keyboard warriors for sure.
Keyboard warriors, and often not making the phone call as much as we used to, sending text messages or emails. So those human skills have been forgotten a little bit. And I believe that as this AI kicks in and there's more technology, we're going to be left with more of our available time to go and reconnect with humans and talk to people again. And these skills need to be trained because they're not trained anywhere. So building rapport, how do you build trust with someone? How do you actively listen? How do you listen to learn and not to fix or win? Really interesting.
Really interesting.
Really interesting. So we're very lucky to have an expert in here, Dr. Marley Watt, who's one of our strategic advisors, and she comes into our training and does this incredible workshop with our team. We do role playing, sitting there, and
people would hate that.
Well, we do it in a way it's actually pretty good. It's not too confronting. It's sort of not weird.
But it'd be so beneficial.
Mirroring. Have you seen mirroring? So right now we're mirroring each other, because we're building rapport.
Yeah.
And building rapport is when you connect and you let your guard down.
Yeah.
And if you can do that in a way with your client easier, sooner, then you're going to get these nuggets of gold. Is the client's going to trust you and tell you what's really going on with them. Okay, so that's the bit that we want to really lean into, as opposed to if it's a bit awkward and you haven't really developed those skills of building rapport, then the client's going to feel that as well. And then all of a sudden, maybe they won't open up as much, and maybe you won't collect that really rich information about what's going on, so you can really help them make a difference.
Yeah.
So they're really human skills, and you can improve them, and that's what we're doing. We had a beautiful day a few weeks ago with a firm in Sydney, a full day of communications and confidence training, and I think this is a huge space in the industry that we want to help emerging leaders that want to do more client-facing work build confidence and fast-track their development, not just sitting there watching like we learn. Is that by osmosis? Is that the word? We're actually doing things to go away and practice every day. So human skills is the biggest area. And I'm going to get Marley in here.
Yes.
Yeah,
look forward to it.
She knows so much. It's so incredible. So I think maybe our next episode potentially will get her in to come and have a chat about this particular area because it's a big, big area.
Awesome. I think the mirroring thing is really cool. I mean, we're kind of mirroring each other right now. We're wearing the same outfit.
We are.
And soon I'll have no hair and you might have a chin length black bob.
Maybe. Maybe the pearl earrings. What do you think?
I think that'll really suit you.
It's powerful. It's powerful. It's where all the magic happens. And that's where we want to have magic with our clients. So
too funny. And so, Brent, with this advisory thing, to me, it kind of sounds like the big shiny toy that everyone wants to be doing because it just, like you said, it's giving purpose. And that's what is so motivating. So I can imagine a lot of firms would be wanting to give this to their senior partners or their senior members, senior accountants, and then kind of giving, the bottom junior ones, just giving them all the compliance work to kind of free up that time. I can imagine that divide would happen because, they've done the hard yards. So now you can be an advisor and you can be all fluffy and cool and fun. What, are you seeing anything like that? Or am I just, assuming?
Yeah, I think the past has definitely been that you do you go through 7-10 years of doing compliance work that, you need to cut your teeth to learn the skills. It's complex, right? So that's the way it's learned. But I think if I could have my time again, I would introduce this knowledge earlier to my team to be able to broaden their skills in accounting and clients and human skills. So then they're more aware when they're doing compliance work, they start to think about the client. Okay, so I'm a senior accountant. I'm still developing my skills of profit and loss and balance sheet and all that sort of stuff, compliance and tax, say. But I've also got a lens now of I know how a business runs. I've been trained in business and I know I have a framework. And now when I'm looking at the profit and loss and balance sheet, I've got more skills to think about things. And now I can apply this. I'm not just looking at this and being a bit of a robot. I'm now looking at this and saying, well, I know, how can I help this client? This must be stressful. They're not making money. It must be a hard time for them. Is there things we can do? We do that anyway, often with numbers, but it's about thinking about it in the other drivers, right? The drivers of culture, the drivers of branding and marketing in these other areas. So I think it's about getting people involved earlier in the piece, both with the human skills and business training. If you're going to change the culture, it doesn't just have to be at the top. It's got to flow all the way down to everybody. And I think, to me, my true belief is that this is how you can get people to want to work for you. If you want to set the culture that you are an advisory firm that does advisory and compliance and you look after the client in both, you can then help you recruit people who also share that same belief with you and saying, look, I want to learn accounting. I love accounting. It's important. It's a language in itself. It's important. But I also want to be able to speak to clients. And you're going to help me be able to speak to clients sooner because I don't want to have to wait 7 years. I want to be able to do it as soon as I possibly can. So developing their human skills. So again, it's a bottleneck that we need to be able to train the team to take away that huge burden that sits with just the partners. They don't have to be the only ones that have these great conversations with clients. We can train them earlier.
Absolutely. And so if we talk about these gaps, being universal, mindset, structure and culture, does that mean that firms will have to rebuild everything from scratch and, retrain these 3 areas?
No, well, possibly. I mean, everyone's at different stages of their cycle. Some people may be really far off and some people are close. And it doesn't matter where you are. It really doesn't. It's about just being aware where you are and where those gaps are. So it comes down to your own purpose. If you have your own purpose of wanting to be able to do more advisory more often, then you've got to start. You've got to start somewhere. Okay, and it's about doing a bit of a review and starting to understand where some of your gaps are, where are your skill gaps, where is your structure gaps, and have we got the right mindset across the whole team? And just doing a bit of a review of that will help take stock and see what you need to do next. No different to our client advice of saying we've got to get more clear on what we want in future. The accountants have to do that for themselves as well. So it starts the process. But what I get concerned about is because we do get so bogged down. It's a real problem.
Yeah.
Like it's a real issue is that it gets kicked down the road to, we'll just do it in January. Like right now, what happens to me, I've got millions of people I talk to and they're so excited they want to do it and then they get busy for a moment and then it's like, look, let's just park it till February now because the end of the year's coming. Get back in February and then it's like, let's just do it next year. And it just keeps getting kicked down the road. And there's reasons for that I understand. But I think it's about just getting started. Okay, awareness first. Okay, so where are we? Where do we sit? And how can we just get started? Let's start turning the dial. Okay, because we want to look back in 2 years' time and say, what have we done? Not should we get started now?
Yeah.
That's a big difference. Okay,
Yeah.
and you can just take small steps, and progress accumulates over time. But to just keep kicking it along down the road with all the changes that are happening, you will be behind. So why not get started if this is what you want to do?
Yeah, get started on these barriers.
Get started.
If we were talking about these barriers, in which one hits the hardest, what would you say?
Ooh, good question. I'm a purpose person. Definitely, look, it's got to come from within.
Yeah.
It's got to come from within, right? So I don't want to force any accountant out there that doesn't feel passionate about doing advice for their clients, because it's not for everyone. But if your gut is telling you that you just want to do more, I spoke to someone during the week saying, I don't want to do this anymore. I want to do more work. I feel guilty that I'm not working with my clients more. If that's your gut and you feel like you want to do more, then you've got to believe it. You got to do something about it. Can't sit with that any longer. So I think that's the biggest starting point of getting your purpose and then starting to turn that into your own goals and objectives and plan, and take it from there.
Brent, guess what time it is? It's for time for this week's Game Changer Move.
Alrighty.
Whoa, I've been waiting all episode to do that. It's time. It's Game Changer Move. What have you got for us this month?
Alrighty. So last week we had the readiness scorecard.
Yes.
And it's been going great. People have been doing it, getting some feedback. And completing that. So that's really cool. We'll continue to have that available for people too. So that will just sit there as a constant for people to keep going back to. So as we talk today, readiness is definitely one of the questions that's asked. But this week we want to give you something different to add to that. So we're going to keep giving you something new every week, a template or a tool or maybe even a gag. Maybe I'll do a gag one day too.
Yes.
But something to add to. So in the folder that where the readiness score sits, we'll give a folder. So this week we have a Closing the Gaps worksheet. So it's reflective of what we've been discussing today. All of the points we've discussed, it'll give you an opportunity to review and reflect exactly some of these key items. So you can give yourself a little bit of a review and see where you might find some opportunities to connect and close some of these gaps. So again, another worksheet. I love to get people started. Okay, that's got to be getting started. So you can get started, you can complete this worksheet and start to see some of the things specifically you can work on to start making progress towards your advisor advantage.
Woo! Amazing. Well, love it, Brent. Thank you so much. And thank you for the second episode of Advisory Advantage. It's been amazing having you in studio once again.
Thank you, Imogen. It's been a blast.
If you missed episode 1 on what the is strategic advisory, go back and catch up. And next time, we'll dive into the game changers that separate firms who talk about advisory from the ones who live it. Until next time, bye for now.
The information featured in this podcast is general in nature and does not take into consideration your financial situation or individual needs and should not be relied upon. Before making any investment, insurance, tax, property or financial planning decision, you should consult a licensed professional who can advise whether your decision is appropriate for you. Guests appearing on this podcast may have a commercial relationship with the companies mentioned.